People have been sending food and bringing gifts, and it's so sweet. I definitely feel loved, but it's definitely just unreal. Like, our kids didn't have to be raised this way. Like, we we can't take them to do, like, Addison's running into other kids, at the rink who do things like go to water parks and go to the beach for a weekend. We have friends that ask us, and I'm like, oh, there's no way. Like, I mean, their houses have roofs. Their husbands don't have to, like, work 8 jobs and take care of sick wives and do a day job during the day and then pull shingles off the roof at night. And, it's just, I don't know anyone else who lives this way except people who have had, a dozen years with medical hell. And it's just, I guess I thought it was going to go faster this time, and it's not. And I just can't believe that human beings should do this to other human beings. I just can't believe it. Like, what? For a nicer beach house? Like, for better stock numbers? Like, so their portfolios can go up? Like, if the shareholders knew. If the shareholders knew how the company was making its money, I know they would. I know some of them would. I was at the shareholders meeting, and I was telling everybody how scared I was, and some ladies came up to me, and they were so nice, and they were like, I'm so sorry this happened to you, and I was like, thank you. I know they meant it. I know as much as they want, like, assets to support them when they're older, and blessings for their offspring, just like my grandmother did. Like, I know they wouldn't want to keep the stock if they knew this was how the company was making its money. My friend Tammy, who has, like, the bladder mesh, she's gone septic so many times that they're having to take her kidney now, and she has like a 9 or 10-year-old daughter. And I know just from having a small kidney surgery after my hips, I know how incredibly painful kidney stuff is. So, and I just think of this lady Barbara I met when I went up to the shareholders meeting in New Jersey, and, like, just to meet people whose lives have been ruined by products that were not adequately tested on humans first. It's just this 510K loophole in the way devices are being brought to market is just wrong, and it wasn't meant to be used this way, and the device companies know they can get away with it, and more stuff. I think when I was at the shareholders meeting, they said, like, they were bringing, like, it was more than 10 devices to market this year, 2018. And I just thought, oh my gosh, that's like probably hundreds of thousands of people who are getting implanted this year without, with stuff that was never tested in humans, but instead is tested on simulators, like Alex Gorski told me when I was up at the podium. Sometimes it's just, sometimes you laugh, and it's kept so great at making me laugh, but it is so tragic. Like, I went to grad school, I worked, 40, 60, 80-hour days and weeks. felt like days. In a really competitive industry, and I worked hard to build a reputation. And when you don't get better from a surgery that everybody else gets better from, and when everybody's hiding the fact that the device you have is hurting more than just you, like, everyone just assumes you're faking, and you're not. So pretty much destroys your reputation. And when I went back to work for like those 4 to 6 weeks, people looked at me with such disgust, like, and I was so confused because I didn't know at the time that, rumors had been spread that I was like a substance abuser, or that I had faked or exaggerated the whole thing. And all I knew is I just had the worst 7 months of my life, and my family was living in squalor because I couldn't even like bend down to pick up a lima bean off the floor if it dropped. And I didn't understand, that a jealous coworker was telling everybody that I was exaggerating or lying or faking the whole thing, because I wouldn't have. They were disappointed in me because they just couldn't believe I would do that, because I wouldn't have. So anyway, 12 or 13 days after surgery, this is the kind of stuff that hits you when you realize you're not just going to pop back. And you just see how your kids are living. And I went to extra school, I worked extra hard, I saved, I lived beneath my means for so long. And I kept saying to Skip all those years, like, why can't I have the new iPhone? And why can't I have a new car? Like, everybody else in my position has these things. They buy houses, $200,000 and $300,000 more than what you're telling me I should buy. And thankfully it was frugal and it saved us from bankruptcy. But I thought at least, well, I'm going to be able to provide my kids with a private school education, spare them some of the horrors that I saw in public school in North Carolina, and maybe give them a little bit of a buffer, and give them a chance to have a life where their college could be fully funded and they wouldn't get out of school with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, which most careers can't support that. I mean, it's just enslaving kids, young adults, in a lifetime of servitude. So, I mean, these were the simple dreams I had from my family, and I really was doing the smart things to make it work, and it was working. And then yeah, I got a bad break, and that I was born without sockets, and I'm probably hypermobile, and that complicates everything. So there was going to be one big mountain to climb, but then the fact that I didn't get better, and the fact that the devices started destroying my tissue and my heart and my hearing, and who knows what it was doing to my brain. We don't know, because insurance won't cover the test to find out. That wasn't just a mountain. That was Skip equates it to, I think it was the movie K2, where they get to the top of this ridiculous mountain, and it's like, oh my gosh, we made it. And then they look out, and it's just a sea of mountains. And that's kind of what we feel like here now. And to have been lied to, these past 6 years until recently, that oh, it's just you. I don't know what the problem is. Nobody else is having problems. The hips are great. X-rays look good. How many of those doctors knew? How many were paid off? I know my one doctor, Dr. Heinrich here in Austin, the year I saw him, I was in a wheelchair. I'd gone back to Starbucks, working part-time at Starbucks as a trainee, trying to learn. I just wanted to do something. I just love people. I love working. I love being productive. And I love being helpful. And I couldn't even make it 6 weeks. I was limping and in so much pain just from a little bit of standing for 6 weeks. And I had to let the lady know. And if you can't even do a part-time job at Starbucks, what can you do? I just wanted to do my part and like help and be productive. And they're just, how many things can you do when you can't stand or bend? Like, I tried to make jewelry and like, you've got to be able to bend to pick up your supplies. So this is where I am on May 25th, 2018. Some friend I met once, his name's Eldon. I met him once. This lady doesn't drive. I met her in a bookstore, and she had me drive her because she doesn't drive, and she had me drive her to this blues conference, this blues festival in Mississippi one time, because, you know, driving is one thing I can do. Don't do well when I get out of the car and have to walk around, but I drove there and I met this guy, and he's such a random stranger, but he's been so supportive for like 3 years, and he just sent me a gift because he just wanted to help, and I was like, no, we're fine, your support online is so helpful. And he sent me a gift. And so tonight, like, the movie about Han Solo is coming out. My family wants to go, and I knew I couldn't sit for 2 hours without pain. But there's this one fancy movie theater where they have like recliners, and we would never go to it normally, even before I was hurt. And I sent him a thank you video, because that's the kind of thing, like, I should have been able to pay for myself to go to a place like that, but, you know, God's providing for people like Eldon. My friend Jane, who feeds us, and our new friend James and his son Dustin, who makes sure that my kid gets to be taken to hockey every day. And, you know, the people at the Iowa Junior Wild who let Addison play, and the people at the pond who let Addison play for free for 2 years because they knew we were fighting back. I mean, we went from a beautiful house on a lake, a beautiful house before that, like, well within our means, but, you know, I mean, I could have lived in them for the rest of my life, but it was on a lake, and we had friends over, and like, we would just have like get-togethers with the whole family. Like, it was everything you would want for your family, just to have a really casual, supportive life where you could support other families and their kids, and, you know, just love on people. And we had to sell that house because we were going to lose it if we didn't sell it. We got to where we just couldn't. The mortgage was like $1,600, which in that area and at my salary at the time was not exorbitant. We had to sell it, and it was such a contrast. We went from one summer, I think it was 2011, I guess, the summer, no, 2012, the summer after I had the hip replacement, to 2013, 2011, like, people were there, and